2025 was an interesting year for movies. Honestly, going into this past year, I wasn't sure what movies I was really super hyped to see compared to 2024, where I couldn't wait for Dune, Robert Eggers' Nosferatu, Mad Max spinoff, Furiosa there. You know, despite not being as hyped, didn't mean I wasn't excited, if that makes sense. I feel like this is an opportunity to jump into new things, into the abyss, as you will. So yeah, 2025 was a year where I feel like I went in more blind into a lot of movies, and I loved it. We have so many franchises, reboots, and AI slop in this world. It was refreshing to jump into new ideas, and I think that's what 2025 was for me. And looking through my top 5, I only have one sequel on here. My list, to me, feels like a reflection of some of those cool new stories and ideas that we got in 2025. So yeah, my name's Devon, and here are my top 5 movies released in 2025.
Those kids walked out of those homes. No one pulled them out. No one forced them.
Of course, I had to kick off my list with a horror movie. I mean, come on now. And this one felt like a callback to like the 80s horror plot lines, but it also felt very modern in its themes about gun violence, loss, and even suburban anxieties. And it does it in a way that isn't as harsh. And I mean that like in a violence shown on screen way, as Hereditary or even Bring Her Back, which was this year. And I love both those movies, Hereditary and Bring Her Back. But those are tough movies to rewatch, in my opinion, because of just how graphic some scenes can be and how intense some of the some of the scary scenes can be, compared to this movie here. And with my comparison I just made, like there is still violence in this movie, and there's a couple oh shit scenes, but it just felt more digestible, and I guess in a way more accessible compared to movies like that I mentioned earlier, Hereditary and Bring Her Back. And I feel like what makes it kind of digestible too is how the story is told. And I really loved this part of the movie, which is that it jumps between different characters till the climax of the film. It feeds the audience with different perspectives to tell the overall story. And sometimes I feel like that can be annoying. I feel like I've seen it in a TV show or something before, and it's just like, all right, you're like wanting to get to the main part. Sometimes it doesn't work, right? But the pace in this movie was great. The jumping between characters worked very well. And the villain was great. Like I mentioned, it felt like an 80s film at parts, more so in the plot. And I hate to use the word vibe here, but this movie captured the believable supernatural, like where supernatural is shocking, but it still feels believable kind of vibe. It felt a lot like John Carpenter's The Thing or Ridley Scott's Alien, in that the more that it's revealed, the scarier it gets. But, there's still that mysterious element to it where, like, not everything is explained right away or is explained at all to some degree. That's what makes it more scarier, letting the audience's imagination, do the work. Weapons, like those two classics, play on the unknown and the fear that comes with it, like I said. And it's still, with that, though, it still hit on the known parts. Like, once the audience realized that it's a witch behind everything, it just made it so much fun. I was able to see this film in theaters twice, and it was still very fun to watch the second time around, even though knowing, what's happening, and if anything, that I think that adds to the rewatchability, where you pick up on some things that you obviously didn't pick up on before. And yeah, Weapons was just a very good horror film. It felt very fresh, and I think we're going to be talking about this one for a long time. So Zach Kreger exceeded expectations after Barbarian. Barbarian's a great film. If you haven't seen that one, go check that one out. And I'm hoping he delivers a story that is fun and mysterious like this and Barbarian in his Resident Evil movie, which is supposed to come out later 2026.
Rise and shine.
Bat an eyelash.
Good morning.
There are no hands on the clock
Why?
because they're not needed.
What time is it?
Fuck. You know, I don't remember that part. All right, let's just not nitpick over the passwords.
You might have seen my full review of this book adaptation when it came out, and it had to be in my top 5. In fact, writing the script of this video, I feel like I maybe put it too low, but I'm just gonna stick with it right here at number 4. Paul Thomas Anderson's One Battle After Another, with another Leonardo DiCaprio classic. This movie was an action-packed political satire that will make you laugh and cheer against a United States that's not too unfamiliar, against some white supremacists who call themselves the Christmas Clan or whatever they were called. Yeah, you're going to be laughing, you're going to be cheering throughout this film. And it's wonderfully shot with some scenes like the one 3-way car chase through the mountains and foothills that just like made my heart race. It was so simple but so effective. This movie is gritty, it's intense, and at moments you really don't know what's next. Like the action kept moving and you think it's going to go one direction, and I felt like it pulled you into another place, another setting. You return to some characters and then you'd come back to others in ways that I wasn't expecting, but it felt like this was happening at a really good pace. And the cast of this movie might be my, the entire cast might be my favorite of the whole list of my top 5 films here. Tiana Taylor, Benicio del Toro, Sean Penn, Chase Infinity. They were all just like locked in with their characters and working with one another. They were funny and charismatic in different ways throughout the movie. Yeah, it's just a fantastic set of characters with a fantastic cast executing those characters flawlessly. I was just looking today at the Golden Globes, and this movie is up for Best Motion Picture in the musical or comedy category. And I think it deserves it. It is comedic. And you know what? It's a musical in a music for our revolutionary spirit sort of way.
Bulls, moving up and down again. Men go mad with watching them. There's no discharge in the war.
We had many battles in our last movie, and now we get many years, 28 to be in fact, for this one. Great joke, I know. So yeah, we got Danny Boyle directing, so he directed the first one in the franchise, and Alex Garland, writing 28 years later. This long-awaited sequel in the franchise finally came, and it really surprised me. Because it wasn't what I expected going in, or even from what the trailer showed. And even after exiting the theater, I wasn't sure how much I liked it because of that, reaction I had where I'm like, wait, this wasn't what I thought it was going to be. But, as I began talking to friends who saw it, after we saw the movie, I realized that there was many layers and conversations this movie can spark. And so I did rewatch it in October, and then it just really clicked for me. I did click after that a couple conversations with friends, but like after rewatching it, everything just really settled down, and like, yeah, I just now really, really love this movie for what it is, and the fact that it did surprise me, I think actually adds to the experience with this film. I think my favorite part of this movie too is the main theme. Like I said, there is some layers and different parts of this movie that can be discussed, but I think the main theme of this movie is, how parents can be good at some things, like, I don't know, hunting zombies, and surviving, and then also be bad at other things, like telling their kids about death. And you tie that theme in with a coming of age story that brings the audience to experience, that conflict that children and their parents probably will face. You might have this experience being a parent, or when you're growing up, you might have had this experience with, communication more, I should say, dealing with that. How, hey, why aren't my parents good at communicating this thing? Or, they didn't teach me enough about this. That is like the main theme for this movie. And like I said, you follow it with, through the eyes of a young boy, throughout this movie, and I just really love how that conflict is shown and is interacted with our characters in this movie. And with those characters and the theme of communication, breakdowns with parents to child and vice versa, it's a coming of age movie. In order to do that, you need a kid actor that is very good. And Alfie Williams, who played Spike, very, very good. Really believed everything that the character was feeling. Like, you were following his emotions throughout this movie. And even if you understood Aaron Taylor Johnson's character Jamie and his actions at certain parts, and the movie does a good job of setting up to where Spike gets frustrated with his dad, and you feel that and you resonate with Spike very very much. And as the story progresses, we get the other characters. I loved Ralph Fiennes' character, Dr. Kelson. There might be my favorite character in the movie. And I'm in the trailer I was expecting him to be shown much earlier in the film, but honestly it works because he's such a pivotal piece of the growth that Spike has at the end, with his mother dying, played by Jodie Comer there. Having that kind of final moment for Spike was very important for his growth. And I think as an audience, you really do take that journey with him and understand, death a little bit more, realizing that and having that conversation, but also how maybe to go about it as an adult, and not make it as it is scary, but not making it as this thing that you avoid, in conversation. If anything, I feel like the movie could have ended right there, where he puts his mom's skull at the top of the bone temple there. But I didn't even mention that this movie was shot on iPhone, and I was super hesitant when I heard that at first, because I thought that was going to be some weird way of doing an ad, being like, hey, this movie was shot on iPhone, get your new iPhone at your store. But it was actually really cool, and added, they did some cool techniques where they had 12 iPhones on a rig, do some really cool techniques that I've never seen before in film. And I believe the older movies were shot on more older equipment or consumer cameras. So I feel like I feel like that's what they were trying to do with that. And even though I feel like the iPhone maybe was still a little bit too clean compared to the early movies, I still think it was a good choice. But yeah, 28 years later, dare I say the best in the franchise? Am I allowed to say that? Maybe I should put money where my mouth is. Oh, wait. I already did. Because guess what? I got everyone. Steelbook. What's crazy is the sequel comes out in 2 weeks from probably when this video has gone up. So we're going right back. Going right back to the Bone Temple, the Bone Zone. The bone... I'm not going to say that. Come on.
You are not a coincidence.
We are not a coincidence.
And I am speaking now to deny my husband's announcement yesterday, which was false.
Eddington, New Mexico, despite its meager population, is quickly being co-opted in online circles.
I'm ready to continue leading our town and fighting the pandemic and the racial and economic.
I thought that this would be number one. It was number one most of the year for me. I really did. I really thought it was gonna be number one, and maybe if I rewatched it right now and came back and sat in this chair, I'd maybe convince myself to put it back at number one. But that really could be said about all these four movies so far. Eddington, Ari Aster of Midsummer and Hereditary fame, jumped into a new type of horror here. He made a movie set in New Mexico, town in New Mexico, in 2020 that had its citizens debating COVID, Black Lives Matter. While not far in the distance, there's an AI data center being built. Why I love this movie is that it's a black comedy that I think successfully tackles the effects of right-wing propaganda and hysteria on families and communities, mental health impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, and also it even tackles a little bit about purity and even identity politics. I said this in my my full video review of this film when it came out, that it really was the first film that I've seen that is reflecting on what 2020 in sense was and is. This movie, I think, will make you self-reflect. I feel in an empathetic way. If you're a leftist or even just generally left-leaning, and if you're right-wing, well, you probably missed the satire or you just got mad. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong and you didn't turn it off. I actually hope you didn't, because I hope after watching this, maybe you see that nothing has gotten better for you. And the real threat is those who don't even care about you, and that they, the ones that are building the AI data center in your backyard that is sapping up the already depleting water supply. This movie, shows the division, right? But then in the outskirts is the real problem, is the real enemy. It's and they're just doing it and no one's fighting them back. But I digress. Because even without the political messages or reactions, this movie has great characters, and it has in the middle of the movie a great plot twist that adds for a chaotic ending, which I think fits perfectly to where we are now in 2026. Eddington here and One Battle After Another, I feel, won't be the last of these more outwardly political or political satire movies, as it feels we become more and more of a reactive society. I fully expect we'll get more movies like this, or they'll just ban them. Hopefully not.
I have a purpose, and if you think that's some sort of blessing, it's not. It means I have an obligation to see a very specific thing through, and with that obligation comes sacrifice.
Everything in my life's falling apart, but I'm gonna figure it out.
Do you need any help? I could help you.
I know it's hard to believe, but I'm telling you, this game, it fills stadiums overseas. And it's only a matter of time before I'm staring at you from the cover of a Wheaties box.
At the buzzer. Literally, this movie came out on Christmas. And once again, for my top 5, the number 1 spot goes to a Timothée Chalamet starred film. Maybe it's recency bias, but this film just freaking punched me in the mouth, man. Last year, Dune got my number 1 movie of the year. Dune Part 2, that is, the second one. So now, instead of spice, we got ping pong balls, and instead of a metaphor about imperialism, we now have a movie that's about what it's like to live in the imperial core while you're trying to chase your dreams, but also you're trying to settle down and have a family. You're trying to be a responsible adult, but then also, you have no money. And it just, and all this is happening, all this conflict of between all these things, is through the human vessel of a major asshole character named Marty Supreme, who happens to be the best ping pong player in the world circa 1953. Going into this movie, well, even before that, I saw the trailers throughout the year. I was intrigued. And then, through the marketing A24 did with the cast of this movie, all the different interviews they were doing, and it was just, I was like, okay, there's some hype around this, a little hype. Started hearing great things. This movie's really good from early previews. By the way, this cast includes Kevin O'Leary and Tyler, the Creator. This movie is a trip. It went in directions that on paper probably shouldn't work, but it does. This movie is, like I said, about the balance of pursuing your dreams, the amount of effort, despite no guarantees that, of following your dreams, and the sacrifices that some people will take, to pursue dreams, I think is a major part of that. Even the bridges that might be burned, another element to that, and then also, you're trying to balance that with the accepting that you might need to settle down, or you might need to take a step back. This movie is about parental responsibility, and accepting it as well. It's about wanting to have kids or a family, or you want to provide even when you have nothing. And this movie, like, it shows, like I said, what some people will need to do for either of those things. One, the ping pong, right, element to this movie, I've seen some people miss that. Well, the ping pong is something to do actually with ping pong, right? It's just something that he likes to do and thinks he's the best at doing, and is trying to chase that dream to prove that. But then the other part of this movie, like I said, is him having to accept responsibility for other people in his lives. And he does love them. He does love a lot. There's his whole family there, for example, he really loves. And but there's a lot of tough love going on, right? And he can't provide for them. He has to pick and choose where his money's going. And right now he's picking to go for his dream of playing in the ping pong championship. But all of this isn't possible without, like I said, Timothée Chalamet does it again. His incredible acting, delivered on, like I said, on paper, maybe shouldn't work. His character is an egotistical asshole, but you cheer for him. At least, throughout this movie, you're like, fuck this guy, dude. Like, why does he keep fucking burning bridges or screwing over this person that cares about him? You just cheer for him because it's just his charisma is off the chain. If this was Dungeons and Dragons, his charisma is the highest it can possibly be, and he only rolls natural 20s. Like, it just, every time Timothy as Marty Supreme sells the character so well, and you just have to buy into it. Because if you didn't, then you won't like this movie, right? Like, this movie would not be enjoyable. Like I said, on paper, him being an egotistical asshole throughout the entire movie shouldn't work. It just shouldn't work, but it just does. But to reiterate, or I guess really solidify my point, because I think his character, Marty Supreme, his character is more of an abstract, a more bringing all those emotions to the center for all to see. Like, that's his character. It's like, yeah, someone this as asshole as this would probably not make it very far in our world, but that level of emotion, not emotion, that level of passion for his goal, people who are really passionate about something, they might feel that way. It's not brought to the center. That's what I'm trying to say. I hope that makes sense, is that his character is bringing the raw energy and emotions that comes with passion to wanting to do something, and it brings it to the forefront. His character is an asshole, but it's just the raw emotion, if that makes sense. That's just how I really interpreted this film, and his character more specifically, is that, yes, he's an asshole, but the reason we're kind of cheering for him is because whether you were a kid once or even right now, you're trying to pursue something, and you have that just like burning desire to do it, you know. I think that's what his character represents. It's just obviously it's super aggressive and it's super in your face, because I think it's just really trying to get that emotion that's deep in the core of a lot of people and just bring it out to the forefront. And I think that's why this movie works. And I think that's why it was for me. I kind of understood, like, man, like, he's an asshole and whatnot, but like that level of emotion, you know, that the energy of desire, I think everyone has to some degree, for things that they like to do, right? Or else you wouldn't do those things when they don't make you money, or you know, you just do it for fun. You know, you love playing basketball, you play basketball with your friends. You know, that's how I'm trying to say. I hope that really made sense. And I'm trying to keep this short. This video in general is short, but I probably didn't. But yeah, this movie really punched me in the mouth and just really surprised me, man. And I'm just now fully on board the Timothée Chalamet train. I mean, I already was, but like I'm now trying to pay to get better seats in the, you know, front of the first couple cars in the first class. Or I want to be there when we win the whole damn thing. You know what I mean? But I don't think Timothy was kidding. I forget where it was, what award show, but maybe I'll throw a clip in here if I can find it.
I know we're in a subjective business, but the truth is, I'm really in pursuit of greatness. I know people don't usually talk like that, but I want to be one of the greats. I'm inspired by the greats. I'm inspired by the greats here tonight. I'm as inspired by Daniel Day-Lewis, Marlon Brando, and Viola Davis as I am by Michael Jordan and Michael Phelps, and I want to be up there. So I'm deeply grateful to that. This doesn't signify that, but it's a little more fuel, it's a little more ammo to keep going. Thank you so much.
And you know, he was saying, not to the same level as Mario Supreme, but just say like I'm not afraid of saying what a lot of people try to do when they get into acting or any creative thing, is sometimes you're just like, man, I just want to be the best I can be. I'm trying to be one of the best to ever do it. Doesn't mean everyone else is bad, just that like I'm trying to be the best to ever do it. I remember that speech, and I feel like this movie was an example of what he's trying to accomplish. And he's, I think, just a year older than me, maybe a year younger. I don't remember, but I mean, if he's gonna keep knocking it out of the park like Dune and then Mario Supreme here, and there's a couple movies I still need to see that he's done that I've heard really good things about. I mean, he's gonna have a very, very great career that I'm sure in 20 years, everything keeps going the way it's going. 20 years will be like, yeah, Timothée Chalamet, you know, he did this, da, 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 da. You know, you're just going to list every great thing that he's done. But yeah, I mean, in the whole cast, the story, the settings, all wrapped in your regular, like, A24 quality that you will expect. This was really at the buzzer. Oh, I forgot to even just mention this really quickly here. The music was, like, kind of a sleeper part of this movie that, everything was so great in the movie that I had music on my list of things I liked about it, and I almost forgot. But the music was like 80s synth and trance and like dance music, or remixes of old 80s dance music, which once again shouldn't have worked because the movie takes place in the 50s. Like, you'd think that would maybe break it a little bit, the illusion. It doesn't. It really just adds to almost the intensity of the movie, but like also the journey you take, and it just makes it also feel kind of dreamlike in a more of a vivid dream, not like, like you're dancing in the clouds kind of dream, but just it added a level of a controlled dream where he's just willing his way to his moment. And yeah, it just added to it, and I just really liked the music from this movie as well. I wanted to shout that out. But yeah, this movie hasn't been out too long. Not long enough for me to get a steelbook like I did with last year with Dune, or 28 years later here. But I plan to hopefully get some type of collector's edition or a steelbook of this movie. I think that's gonna be my new thing. Is that whatever my number one movie is of the year, I'll try to get a physical copy of, but a nicer one. So yeah, I don't have anything, so I'm just gonna edit, I don't know, the poster or something else here in my hands. So yeah, congrats to Marty Supreme. The highest of honors is yours. You were my favorite movie of 2025. All right, those are my top 5 movies. Very tough this year, and I'm still catching up on some movies I missed. But I do look forward to what 2026 brings. I mean, don't worry, we got Dune 3. Dune 3 coming out, I think in Christmas time, or like right before Christmas. Oh no, it's right same weekend. I think it's Avengers I saw. I hope it kills Avengers. So maybe Timothy will make it 3 in a row at number 1, or at least maybe top 5. Unless Dune 3 really sucks. I hope it doesn't. I think I said it in my Dune, or for last year when I was talking about Dune. I feel like if this third one's good, it'll be, that trilogy would be very, I feel like just as good as like what when people talk about Lord of the Rings, in terms of fantasy. It'll be that for science fiction. Now, before you leave, I wanted to mention, through this past year, I've done some movie reviews on specific movies, including some of the ones I talked about today. Feel free to check those out. And I'm also gonna, continue to do that into 2026. I'm also gonna try out a new thing. We'll see how long I do it for. I don't want to promise too much, but I'm hoping to soon to start doing a stream every couple weeks on this channel, where we cover movie news, movies and shows that I've been watching and you've been watching. I want it to be a place where people can come and discuss movies and have fun with it, and also a way to recommend, like, hey, I've been watching this, has been really cool, or maybe some deeper cut films that aren't in the theaters. Letterboxd added this thing where you can rent movies that are at special screenings and stuff that are, might not be accessible for like another year. So maybe it's stuff like that. I'd really love it to be a place where we can just really talk about movies and shows we've been watching, and also talk about the news and what things might be coming out, or all those things. And so expect that. But I also have some other ideas I've been kicking around that I hope to add to this channel. But yeah, do the thing if you're interested, the button or whatever. And hopefully 2026 is a little brighter during these dark times, except at the theater. The only light that should be on is the projector. Please stop with the phone shit. I can't do it anymore.